I am recording on a Friday. I don't know who this is, but hello. Welcome back to another episode on my podcast. This is your host, Kaylin Piles, and I honestly had a lot of downloads come down to me literally last night, and I was on my couch and I was just like putting all of my notes into my phone, and I was like, yeah, I need to turn this into a podcast. And so I'm trying to figure out if I want to make this into two separate podcasts or just intermingle these topics together. I tend to just intermingle things all together, but I feel like I need to expand pretty deep on both points that I want to hit on. We're going to just roll with it. We're going to see how this goes because both of these points, they do intermingle with one another. And yeah, I just had very profound thoughts last night around exactly what I'm about to go into. And so the first thing that I want to go into is the past year had been a very difficult year for me. And I know I've said this multiple times, and I know that quite a few of you guys, not quite a few, but a lot of you guys had very similar years. Obviously, different circumstances, different things happen, but 2022 was a very, very intense year for a lot of us. And I've been in this hibernation of reflection because of this and trying to figure out, okay, what's the lesson here? What am I learning? What is this going to bring to light to me? And I definitely do think that I'm someone who sees the light at the end of the tunnel, although that was very difficult this year. I knew that there had to be a reasoning behind everything that had happened over the year. And I hope to give that same sense to you, whatever situation you're going through or any life experiences that happened in 2022. If you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, I promise you, like, one, that's okay. Cause sometimes you need to feel, right? And that's something that I learned this year. A lot of times when I get knocked off or I fall down, which happens a lot, just a heads up, it happens all the time to me. I fall, I fail, I hit my face on the ground and I stay down, and it happens. But sometimes we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's okay. And I think the purpose of that is a reminder to feel your feelings and to let that hit for a second. And if you're anything like me, you always want to find a solution. You want to, find an answer. And what I learned this year is there was no answer. The answer was to feel. Hi, it's me. Someone who has had a really hard time with emotions and a really hard time crying and feeling in general, just because of past upbringings and whatnot. And so this is a huge lesson for me, is to remember that your rock bottom or your worst times or your worst years, there's one or two things that are going to happen. Okay. And everyone's different just depending on your previous experience or your previous dark time. For some of us, we're not going to see the light at the end of the tunnel immediately. And for others, we're going to hit rock bottom and we're going to know how to turn it around instantly. And both are great and both serve purpose. And something that I realized just reflecting on previous dark times that I've had in my life is sometimes we forget that our best creations, our best creativity, our best thought process, our best hustle, our best let's get it, our best resourcefulness, that's the better word. Our best resourcefulness comes from being in a very, very dark place or from failure, because you get so resourceful, right? When you hit rock bottom or you hit a low, the first thing that comes to your mind is like, oh my God, holy shit, how do I get out of this? How do I change this, right? You're thinking that. But when you're riding, cruising along, you're not thinking that way. You're just like, oh, next day, next day, next day, next day. But when you are in the depths of hurt or pain or sadness or chaos, your mind is so creative during that low point. You're being the most resourceful and the most creative in your darkest times. And we don't give our dark moments a lot of credit because there is a lot of pain and because there is a lot of stress and anxiety and pressure and whatever you're feeling from the past year or whatever darkness is bringing to you right now, it is very hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to see the purpose behind the dark time itself. But I promise you, your best days happen because of your darkest nights, right? If you literally look at your life and you think of the best times of your life and you think of the best memories and the best things, a lot of times those were produced out of dark times. And I just want to remind you of that, because the thing is about dark times is you've been here before. And I know a lot of times when you're in the depths of it, you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't happening to anybody else. Like, how am I going to get through this? But at some point in your life, you have experienced some darkness, some level of darkness. And we have to remember, as we're evolving in life and as we're taking more risk and we're taking more chances on things, you know, the higher the risk, the higher the reward, right? And so as we're evolving and trying to create this life that we're obsessed with in the happiest times of our life, that's an extreme high. And when you are on the search and on the hunt for that, you have to also be okay with the same extreme of lows. And so that's something that I really had a huge epiphany around as I was reflecting, is just thinking that this low that I'm going through is going to produce such a high, and I cannot wait for it. Because looking back at every previous dark time in my life, when I got myself out of that situations, the next thing, the next chapter that came was one of my happiest years of my life, one of the coolest, one of the most creative years of my life. And so I can really just feel that. And I want to give you hope with that, with whatever you're going through. It is to remember, however bad it is right now, you are going to have an equal lightness and equal happiness coming out the other side. And my second reminder is to take this time to get creative and to get resourceful, because when you are in this situation of chaos and you're in this situation of darkness, that is when we're turning on our minds the most. And that's when we're getting the most resourceful and creative of, okay, what are my options? What are my pathways? You're thinking 24/7 how to get through this, right? So it's a cool process. Obviously, whatever you're going through, it probably sucks. I feel that mine sucks too, but I'm trying to give you some light at the end of the tunnel for this. My second thought on just going through an extremely hard time is, I'm a firm believer that whenever we get knocked down, and let me back up for a second, because I will say that 2022 was a huge contributor to me going full send into my own spiritual journey. Like full send. I was soul searching for answers. I was going deep. I was going down on my knees. I was like, oh my gosh, looking up, asking for answers. Like, it sent me there. Like, hello. There's a deeper meaning on what's going on, and I will not stop searching for it until I get there. And so 2022 really sent me into my own spiritual journey, and maybe you can resonate with that. But as I'm going along my spiritual journey and reflecting on this very, very hard time, this very dark time in my life, I had a light bulb moment, just reflecting on previous experiences. And whenever we get knocked down, I think that whatever you believe in, whether that's God, source, universe, energy, whatever resonates with you, whatever you believe in, one, when we are in our darkest moments, I promise you believe in something. You know, like you're like, oh God, help me. Oh, you know, like you're saying something, right? And so like, there's something out there. There is. And whatever you believe in, I think that they present dark times to us and low moments to us, because when we were riding on cruise control, or when we were on our highest high. Usually it's on cruise control when this happens. Usually you're on cruise control and then you hit a crash and then you go into a dark hole or whatever. But a lot of times when we're on cruise control, we're ignoring signs, we're ignoring signals, we're just like going along our life. And I think that when we're sent into a dark time or a huge challenge, it's God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, saying, hello, can you hear me now? I've been trying to let you know you've been falling off your path. I've been trying to let you know you've been falling off your mission, but you weren't listening to me. You were just cruising along. And so I needed you to wake up. I need you to wake up. So I presented you with this challenge here that you need to face so that you can get resourceful and you can get creative to get back on the right path. To get back on the right path. And so maybe you're going through a breakup and that sucks and that hurts a lot, like a lot. But maybe you were falling off of your mission, or maybe you were settling for something that actually doesn't align with who you are supposed to be, with what life you're supposed to have. And so, yes, that heartbreak sucks. It does. But I think that this is a signal for you to remember, hello, there's bigger and better things out there for you. Why were you settling? We needed this crash to happen so you can have this aha moment and see yourself again. And I think that this has happened to myself a lot of times whenever I settle, whenever I have settled, or whenever I felt quote unquote stuck. I needed to fall, and I needed to fall hard for me to course correct and get back on track for my purpose and my mission. And maybe you don't know what your exact purpose or mission is, but I promise you, every setback and every struggle and every challenge and every deep, dark place that happens, it's just here to course correct you. And you're going to have a bigger, better, brighter day. But during that dark time, you need to get creative, you need to get resourceful and get on the right path again. And I've seen this so many times, whether it's clients or friends or obviously myself, where I thought what I was doing was the right thing. And then I fell off and got hit with this huge, oh shit moment. And it literally course corrected me to something completely opposite of what I was originally doing. And something that was way better than I could ever imagine. It course corrected me to my actual purpose. Because holy cow. I used to think that I wanted to be a high school math teacher. For me personally, no. And I needed a, oh shit, epiphany moment of like, what am I doing with my life type of thing. And that sucked. And I was like, oh my gosh. But you know what that did? It made me dig. It made me be resourceful. It made me be creative. It made me reflect on what I really wanted to do. And it allowed me to take a risk. And here we are today, hosting a podcast, running my business that I am. It's more aligned with me. If I would have just stayed on cruise control, stayed in that lane, wouldn't have gotten creative when I hit my rock bottom or my lowest low, and I would have returned to the same thing. I would have returned to the wrong mission. I would have kept running into that over and over and over and over again until I woke up. And so I want you to take these moments that you have, these challenges that you have, these dark times that you have as a wake up. This is God, this is universe, this is source, this is whoever trying to say, hello, I'm going to bring you this dark time. So you can wake up and realign yourself with your purpose and your mission. And a lot of times we're like, dang, I thought I was doing really, really good. I thought I was aligned. I thought I was like on my mission. Like, come on. But we're human and we have so much to learn. And like, that's what life is. You're never going to be 100% perfect. You're just not. You have so much to learn. You have so much to grow through. So yeah, I just want to keep this podcast pretty short, simple, to the point. I guess I won't combine the two things that I had in mind. I just want to keep this focused on challenging times and dark times. But I wanted to give you that perspective shift. Okay. Because human to human, I see you. I went through a very dark time. I know so many of you guys went through a dark time in 2022. Everyone's circumstances were completely different, but I wanted to give you that perspective shift of things that I've reflected on that have been helping me really soul search all around. Okay. So just remember that during your darkest times, this is also when you're the most creative and the most resourceful. And so very beautiful things can come out of this. Okay. You're thinking in a way that you don't normally think. Okay. And then the second thing is to remember a lot of times when we're faced with challenges or dark times, it's because we fell off of our path and our mission and our purpose. Okay. It's a course correct. And a lot of times when we have challenging times come, we don't really understand, but I encourage you to do some reflecting, to do some thinking, and course correct yourself. Okay. You may not have all of the answers, but I promise you something is going to come up. And I actually did a journaling exercise with our community inside of the Higher Standard. And one of the questions that I asked was, is there a pattern in your life that keeps showing up? And a lot of times when we have a very dark time or a challenge, it's because this pattern keeps popping up, but you are literally not doing anything about it. Okay. So a hard time and a huge challenge has to pop up for you to wake up, and realize, hey, this pattern keeps showing up in your life. It's not serving you, but you are the problem. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Right? Yeah. Because we can't control what happens like externally, but we can work on internally what we can change. And so if you see a constant pattern popping up, a lot of times you won't see it until you're in this deep, dark like moment of like, oh shit, my life is like rock bottom, right? But I want you to reflect, what's the pattern? What got you into this situation? And a lot of times it's something that you need to work on, you need to fix. Okay. And that's what personal development and self-discovery is all about. So, holy cow. One of the things with podcasting is I want to do a better job at, just being a little bit more intuitive and going with my gut. And so that's exactly what I did today. I can tell you all about my epiphanies all day long, guys, because 2022 really spent me. So one of the big realizations that I had is I'm very logical, structured, and almost like type A, like things like when we say we do something, we do something. And when it's at this time, it's at that time. And are we on time? No, we're 5 minutes early, right? Like that's how I am. And so I'm trying to be more in flow. And if you've listened to my other podcasts, you know that I'm working on my feminine journey, and I think we are doing better. We're not perfect, but we're doing better. And part of being in flow is when things come to my mind, I should just whip out my microphone and just record. And I shouldn't put this like structure or confinement on, you can only record on this day at this time. Because what I was finding myself feeling when I was recording is I was just like, okay, I'll talk about this topic, I guess, instead of like feeling how I'm feeling right now and today. And maybe you heard a little change in my energy, a little change in my voice during this podcast episode. But that's because I really felt pulled to record this episode and to talk about this exact topic. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm actually really glad that I was on a rant for this specific topic, so I can keep this episode a little bit shorter for you guys. And I will record the second part of this later for you guys. And that one's going to be a little bit more catered towards anyone whose life is on social media. And I had a few epiphanies the other night about this, and it's going to get a little juicy and a little, I'm really excited for it. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. But if you guys could leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple, you can write a written review on Apple. I'd really, really, really appreciate it. I have so much fun on podcast because this is such a cool way to connect with you guys. And I've received messages from a lot of you even explaining that you're on a very similar journey of having a more balanced like energy, just aura all around. And I think that that's so cool. I feel a huge shift like amongst everybody that I have come in contact with. And I really feel that 2023, everyone is really focusing on flow and peace. And it's really cool. It's really cool because the world needs a lot more of that. And even just doing goal setting with our community inside of the higher standard, I told them, I said, in past years, I felt the energy of very hustle, hustle, hustle. But this year, we're easing into 2023, and I'm cool with that. And everyone on the call was just like, yeah, I heard that, like same. And it was just cool. I think that we're all like on very similar path right now. And so, yeah, we just did easing into 2023, like questions. They weren't like direct, like, oh, I'm going to, lose 50 pounds and I'm going to climb the ladder at work. No, like it wasn't that like at all. It was just like, okay, what are some patterns that I'm recognizing in my life? Where am I currently? Where do I want to be? And who do I have to become? And let me just visualize me as that person right now. And so we kept writing things down. Like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm in the best shape of my life. I am so happy and grateful that I run the best fun business ever, and just already placing ourselves into those future pictures or future visions that we had for ourselves. And that was a really cool moment that we had inside of our community. And so I really encourage you to do the same. Is like, take a step back, look at what you want to do in 2023. Honestly, just think about January. Like, if I did a huge reflection on 2022, the person who I was in January versus December in 2022, completely opposite. So it's just like, why are we planning for the entire year? I don't know. It doesn't really work that way. So that's my spiel on that. So I'll let you guys go now. I hope you guys have a great day. I will catch you on the next episode. Adios.